When it comes to Putin or other post-Soviet rulers who have ruled for decades, they are often accused of dictatorship and that their rule lasts extremely long. Putin has actually been in power for more than 20 years and is not going to leave. At the same time, in the West, in democratic countries, there are examples where rulers also rule for quite a long time. Merkel served as chancellor for 15 years, and a reasonable question is raised. Why is Putin or another similar post-Soviet leader considered a dictator, but Merkel is not? Merkel first came to the post of chancellor in 2005 after the parliamentary elections in Germany. Her Christian Democrat Party then gained 35% and got ahead by only 1% from the Social Democrats Party. It's worth noting that although there is a presidential post in Germany, the president occupies a nominal value and does not play a serious role in politics. The chancellor takes the leading place, and the election of the chancellor takes place not directly but through parliament. The country has a parliamentary system, under which voters vote only in parliamentary elections, thanks to which the chancellor is appointed. This system is fundamentally different from the presidential republic, which is established in Russia and in some other post-Soviet countries. The powers of the President of Russia are much higher than those of the Chancellor in a parliamentary republic. The same President of Russia is forming a government, which the parliament must approve. If the parliament does not approve the government 3 times, then the president can simply dissolve it. The chancellor does not have such broad powers. Simply put, the parliamentary system relies more on collegial management, and the presidential system on individual. The second thing worth mentioning is the composition of the parliament. As mentioned above, Merkel won the first election by an extremely small margin, which means that a significant part of the parliament was occupied by the opposition party, with which it was necessary to seek compromises. In general, the Christian Democrats, although they won the election 4 times in a row, they still had significant resistance in parliament. In 2009, they won 33% of the votes. In 2013, at the peak of their popularity, 41%. In 2017, 33%. In this regard, Merkel constantly had to compromise with other parties and develop a joint development concept. In 3 cases out of 4, the main opponents were the Social Democrats, and it was with them that compromises had to be made. Moreover, it was necessary to share ministerial positions with competitors. In general, despite the regular victories of the Christian Democrats in the elections, they still did not make up their overwhelming number in parliament. Therefore, they were forced to cooperate with other parties. In Russia, things are different in this regard. Parliamentary elections are not key to Russian politics, but even during Putin's rule, the State Duma was actually seized by one party, which at the moment can adopt any convenient law. Of course, it's about Putin's party, United Russia. With Putin's rise to power, the role of United Russia immediately increased. Already in the 2003 elections, members of the United Russia Party took 304 seats in the State Duma out of 450. Now there are 325. In general, during Putin's rule, the parliament was actually usurped by the pro-government party, which did not happen under Merkel. Various kinds of tricks to preserve one's own power are also important. Despite the fact that Merkel has been in office for quite a long time, there are no restrictions on this in Germany. There is no limit on the number of terms of the chancellor, unlike in other countries including Russia. Moreover, the political practice of the past years allowed for similar scenarios of events. The same Helmut Kohl, under whom the unification of Germany took place, served as chancellor for 16 years. As for Russia, due to the limitations of 2 presidential terms, the president has to go to all sorts of tricks and legal tricks in order to maintain his power. The first time when this happened was in 2008, when Putin's protege Medvedev became president. He ruled only 1 term and Putin replaced him in office again. The second time occurred relatively recently, with the amendment of the constitution, which in fact has reset Putin's presidential terms and allows him to run 2 more times. Similar tricks with updating deadlines were used by other rulers. As for the elections and the elimination of competitors, Merkel was also not seen in falsifications and intimidating other politicians. Elections in Germany are taking place quite transparently, and the media are not put in any framework and can cover everything that is happening. Despite her rather mediocre oratory skills, Merkel nevertheless participated in public debates and answered difficult questions. There is a problem with many of these side teams in Russia and other post-Soviet countries. The problem of election fraud has been repeatedly noted both in the media and among international organizations. Isolation and exclusion of opposition forces occurs regularly. Most of the media are controlled by the state and do not cover events properly. Putin does not go to public debates and rarely gives interviews. And the last thing worth mentioning is the existence of independent institutions in Germany that function regardless of the ruling party. The branches of government are divided and cannot exert pressure on each other. In typical dictatorships and authoritarian governments, as a rule, there are no independent institutions, they serve the interests of the authorities and the pro power elite.